Hello, my name is Jennifer Branny, and this is my video on my scientific phenomenon. Um, so, in this video, my phenomenon is about weathering and erosion that takes place within the rock cycle and how it's a crucial component of the rock cycle. And erosion and weathering, that is a natural process that happens, but it's like I said, a crucial component of the rock cycle. And so today, what we're going to be looking at in particular is the sedimentary rock and how it's formed from sediment, which sediment comes from the weathering and erosion. What I like about this activity is you can take this activity and do igneous rock, sedimentary, and metamorphic. I'm just going to focus on sedimentary today. So, with this activity, I've done it with my students with Jolly Ranchers. This is my first time doing it with crayons. I like the crayons because it wasn't as sticky, so I thought that would be cool. So in my activity today, what we're going to need, or in our experiment, we're going to need some crayons. You can use a sharpener. The students will have more fun with the plastic knife. And I would recommend some foil and a plate to keep all that on. So what we're trying to do is show how the weathering happens and how sediment can turn into sedimentary rock. Because this is a natural process. So the things you want to be asking your students, while you're doing this is you're going to be talking about the vocabulary. The vocab terms are weathering, erosion, cementation, and compaction, and sedimentary rock and sediment. And so you want to keep repeating those words throughout this whole experiment. And then as they're doing their work and they're doing their compaction and their cementation, you want to ask them, what process are we going through right now? What are we trying to prove? Again, this whole thing is because of the phenomenon of weathering and erosion. And weathering is the breaking down, and the erosion is the movement or transportation of this rock, or of the fragments of rock. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a crayon, and you're going to take your knife. You're going to tell your students how the crayons represent a rock. And again, we do have three types of rocks: sedimentary, igneous, and metamorphic. And they all are part of the rock cycle. So at one point, they're all going to be broken down and made into a new type of rock. And so this is just one part of that rock cycle. So we have different types of rocks, and I broke up different colors to represent the different types of rocks. So you're going to take a color and you're going to take the paper off, but your students are going to scrape the rock or scrape the crayon with the knife, and it's going to form little fragments of the crayon, which would be fragments of rock, which would be our sediment. So what sediment is it's sand, a mixture of sand and gravel. So it's various sizes, right? So as they weather down their rock, they're eroding it, right, into these little fragments. So the process that we're looking at is how these fragments all turn into a new rock. So weathering happened, made all these little fragments. We're going to put that onto our foil. And then you also want to talk about, why am I doing this with crayons? Why can't we just go outside and observe rocks? Why are we modeling this? And how do we model the formation of this new rock? So those are questions you want to be asking the students while they're doing this. So as we know, our students might not know, but we know that it takes thousands to millions of years for a new rock to form like this. We humans do not live thousands, millions of years, so we make models to represent. Again, a phenomenon is something that happens in nature, and we can observe it and use scientific methods to explain it. So this is what we're doing. We're using a scientific method to explain it, how sediment rock is formed. So here's all my sediment. I've piled it and layered it up, right? So again, sedimentary rock is formed from the weathering, which we did with the knife when we made all these fragments, the sediment, erosion, which is the movement of those fragments to be layered right here. And now the next process is compaction. So we're going to compact these. I'm going to go ahead and take a cut and press. You want your students to press down for about a minute, right? And so here again is a great time to ask, okay, what process are we doing right now? Compaction. Yeah. What's compaction? It's the squeezing and the pressure. So what are we doing with that? What is this representing? So this is representing the layers of sediment on top of each other in the water, in the ocean, and the land, just pushing down, right, over time. And now what we should have is cementation. So all of our fragments, they stuck together and they made a new rock, which this would be our sedimentary rock. They have to make sure they squeeze together real hard or it's going to fall apart. But that's the bonding and the gluing of the sediment through the pressure, through the compaction of earth and the ocean and the layers and time. So why do we model the formation of a new rock? Why don't we just go outside and observe it? Again, it's time. It takes thousands of millions of years. We don't have time like that. So this took us 7 minutes to do. So that's why we do this way. Again, the vocab terms: weathering, erosion, compaction, cementation, sediment, and sedimentary rock. This is all part of the rock cycle. So you could carry on this exercise or this activity, this experiment. You would do metamorphic rock. So you would melt it down a little bit because metamorphic is formed through heat and pressure. And then for igneous rock, you would melt it completely. And you would show that fragments of the sedimentary and the metamorphic and the igneous, they all just get melted down and put back out as an igneous rock. And then the igneous rock gets weathered down into the sedimentary rock. And then when the sedimentary rock and the igneous rock merge together, that's a metamorphic rock. And so it's all part of a cycle. And if you do the different steps of the cycle, different days, and then do it all together, I think it would help the kids grasp the concept more rather than just running through the whole cycle in one day. It's because it's a lot to understand. So like just the sedimentary alone is its own little process. So yeah, thank you.